What happens when the money runs out? And you guys, the money ran out. Good afternoon, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Nicole Unscripted, and this is my life over here. So this is part 2 to my video that I posted last week. I told you guys about how I quit my job, and y'all, I was so scared. And I'm gonna try to work while I'm talking, but y'all, when I tell you, I was so scared to tell y'all. I was scared to tell anybody, let alone come on here and, announce it for, the internet, for y'all to see. But I had quit my job, and I think I had told y'all that, I was just basically working out, working on me, working on my YouTube channel, and just resting, y'all. Just basically resting and dealing with some trauma that came along with what, I was going through. So some personal trauma, which I won't get into that, but just know I was going through, as I told y'all, I was grieving in this process. I was enjoying my rest. I was feeling so relieved. So, I was feeling so good, but at the same time, I was down. I was so sad. Like I said, I was so scared. I was scared to tell anybody, y'all. The only people that knew, or I'll just say there were only a handful of people who knew that I quit my job. Of course, I told my closest friends and my kids and my mom and a few other people. But not many people knew that I quit my job. And y'all, to be honest, I was I was ashamed. I was scared to tell people because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of being, judged, ashamed of being looked at as if, oh, you're 50 and you've been working all this time and you don't have anything to show for it. All you have is a little 401k. You don't really have many accomplishments, which I'm not going to put myself down that bad. I do have some accomplishments. But if you guys understand what I'm saying, when you're in your 50s, in today's society expects you to have, savings. They expect you to be able to live well. They expect you to may have had degrees and, travel the world. Well, not really travel the world, but at least have a home, have bought a home. That's the American dream. Have bought a home, or invested in this or in that. And y'all, I didn't have any of that. All I had was my little 401k that I had, worked hard for. That's all I had, that's all I had. And I took that to substantiate my living while not working for me and my daughter. I was relieved. Internally, I was so relieved. I was so relieved. I was doing the things that I wanted to do. I was doing the things my heart desired, and in that case, I was happy, y'all. I was happy. I was full of excitement and just, excited about what the future was going to bring me, So that lasted a few months. So what happens when the money runs out? And you guys, the money ran out. So what happened was you start looking for another job. And in my case, I had to ask for help, y'all. I had to ask for help. And I'm telling you, the way I am, that's one thing I hate to do. I hate asking for help. And I had to ask the person that I really didn't want to ask for help. You get what I'm saying? Me having to ask someone that I didn't want to ask, that really helped strip a lot of my pride or my ego down, just stripped all that down in a way. And I was kind of like just this naked person just standing there. I did, you know, I know I used my 401k to do what I felt I needed to do for me, but now I need your help. You get what I'm saying? And y'all, that's, hey, you know, you have to swallow your pride when you're in that position. And I can say they gave me the help. They gave me the help. They helped me. I will always be grateful. I've always been grateful of any help that this person has given me and has been there for me through the years. Like I said, you have to do, it's two things you gotta do. You gotta find work and ask for help. And I was doing both. So in November of 2023, I got back on the job board. I got on the job boards looking for work. And you guys, I did not want to do what I was previously doing. I wanted to try to find something that was different because I felt like that would kind of help my mental a little more, something a little less stressful, something that I kind of could just, you know, do and not have the residuals. You get what I'm saying? And I know stress comes with any kind of job. It comes with any kind of job, but I didn't want to have to really deal with people, so to speak. I just wanted to be at a computer, you know. And when you think about it, that's what all I did initially. That's all I did initially was work at the computer. But I did, like I said, there were other things that went along with this job that was very stressful. Now, I didn't find another job, y'all. I couldn't find a job. The jobs that I was putting in for, of course, they turned me down. They would tell me that I didn't have the experience that they wanted, yada, yada, yada. So one day, y'all, I just broke down and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to call my old supervisor. And that's what I did. I texted her. I either emailed her or texted her, one or two, or I called her. I'm not sure which one I did. But I called her and she was so happy I called. She said that they did need some help and she was so glad to hear from me. She actually told me that she had been thinking about me and that she was gonna actually shoot me a text or email to see how I was doing because it had been, you know, I resigned in July and it was November. So yeah. And like I said, then my supervisor is the best. I love her to death. She's not the only supervisor that I've had where I'm currently working. They have all been so great. She was so glad to hear from me. And I was relieved. I was like, yes, you know, I was so relieved. And I told her, you know, I just told her what it was, you know. I told her I'm back on the job market. I need to work. I need to start back working. And she was like, she was gonna talk to her boss and see what she could do, and she would get back with me. And she did. She got back with me within that week, and she asked me if I could start back that next month in December. And I said, yes, ma'am. So I started back part-time, mainly because we wanted to ease me back in and because of workload issues. And they wasn't sure about new providers coming in, how things were gonna work, but they wanted me back. And I was so thankful. Of course, I was like, whatever I need to do, I'll be there. I had to do new onboarding, and you know, y'all know about all that. I had to go through all that again, which was fine. And y'all, you know what? Before before I get into starting back on my job, let me rewind. Let me rewind a bit because I left out something very important, a really important point I wanted to make. So we all know things happen for a reason. My belief is nothing happens for no reason, okay? And like I said, I started to look for work in November. But before that, I had been coordinating my mother's move back to Tennessee. She had been in Florida for several years. So she wanted to move back. This is our hometown here in Tennessee. So I had been coordinating this move for her. My mother is in her 80s. And of course, you know, things are kind of hard for her now. She's a very cognitive, very spry 80-year-old, okay? Very conscientious, mind clear, okay? In that aspect, as far as business things and, you know, things like that. But she needed me to help her with all the ins and outs of, you know, doing applications and finding places here and yada, yada, yada. So, of course, I did that for her. So I coordinated her move back. Now between me, Kari, Keandra, my oldest daughter, and my brother, we all played a part in my mother's moving back. Financially, it was kind of rough. So therefore my daughter, my oldest daughter, she kicked in, and my brother, he kicked in. My brother paid for her moving expenses, as far as the moving company and the movers. He paid for all that, which that was a pretty penny. Like, that wasn't cheap. Moving from state to state, moving from Florida to Tennessee, it was not cheap whatsoever. So he took care of that. Keandra took care of move-in expenses. We all know what that entails, okay? And Kari and I took care of getting down there, making sure we had a reliable, comfortable transportation to get down there, because we have a small car. So we rented a medium-sized SUV, really nice car with a lot of trunk space, because, you know, Kari and I had to take a little bag, and then we had to make sure my mother had room for all her stuff that she needed to bring back, you know, immediately with her, because her the rest of her stuff wouldn't be back for like about a week or so. What did we use? We used a U-Box from U-Haul. So they would have to store it, then bring it. And I think, yeah, she had to wait like a week or two, maybe. But I know at least a week to get all the rest of her stuff, you know, furniture and things, everything that was in the U-Boxes. So we wanted to make sure that she had enough room for suitcases and everything that she would need in order to live, you know, those few weeks before she got her stuff. Okay. So therefore, we rented a car. That was money out of my account. That was my personal money, okay, that Kari and I were living on, okay? So money for that. Then of course, you know, traveling, you have to have gas. And I did have a cousin that he pitched in. He sent me some money for gas. I appreciate him so much. And so we had gas, we had food expenses, and we had to get a hotel to stay for 2 nights, because we got down there. I can't remember the specific days, but if y'all want to see like the progression of that, you know, us getting ready to move and getting ready to travel down there, and some of our time down there and back, I did vlog that. Of course, I didn't show the move, you know, my mother's home or anything like that for privacy reasons. I did show some things, and if y'all want to see that, y'all can see the mood of things. I had just kind of recovered from calcific tendonitis in my shoulder. I was so glad that was taken care of, because I had to think, we had to come down. Now, my mother is 80 something years old, okay? She didn't have anybody to pack for her. She had to start packing weeks before. So I was always on her, mama, do what you can every day, just do a little bit as you can. And she did have friends that could help her, but I think she did most of it herself. But y'all, a week before her move, a month before her move, she got sick. She came down with pneumonia, which she does that once or twice a year. She got sick. She was in the hospital maybe a week or two. And when she got out of the hospital, she was weak as ice water. So we were worried about all that. You know, my arm was messed up. My shoulder was messed up. We were worried about finances. How are we gonna do this, do that? You know, I'm thinking about, I gotta make sure my bills and everything, our bills are paid, and I gotta make sure we get to Florida. I gotta make sure we gotta help mama pack. And you know, she couldn't do much when she got out of the hospital. She had done a lot for her. She had done a lot before she went into the hospital, but y'all, when we got there, when I tell you, I was stressed. When we walked in, and I knew it was gonna be like this. I already knew it. When we walked into mama's place, I just kind of, you know, I had to woosah. And I didn't let my mama know, you know what I'm saying? I didn't let her know what was going on, but I just went into work mode, and Kari and I went into work mode. And when I tell you, we turned to get that place packed up. Now see, we had scheduled the movers to be there the day after we got there, I think. Yeah, the day after we got there, the mover came. It was one guy. And when I tell you, he was amazing. He was the sweetest guy in the world. When I tell you, God shows up and he shows out and he puts people in places when you need them. This guy went over and beyond to help me and Kari and my mom. He came in and he was so sweet to my mama, and he was so nice. He was so mannerable, and he worked. He did extra. He saw we were trying to pack things up as he was loading the boxes up, and it worked out. It worked out. We were tired. We were tired as hell. We was tired as hell. But everything worked out. And like I said, we had all this stuff on our minds before we even went down there. All this stuff was like, we're hoping everything was going to work out and go smoothly. And for the most part, it did. It went smoothly. We got mama's stuff packed up. The mover got everything in the box, in the U-boxes, got it shipped off. The last day we were there, putting all her personal things and everything she was bringing back with her into the SUV. And then we had to kind of clean up and do some things and, you know, get her apartment, you know, tied away, with me communicating with her manager. So, yeah, y'all, we got through that. And this was before I started looking for my job, because like I said, we spent a lot of money on that move. And, yeah, that kind of put us even more behind. So I probably could have stretched out another month or two or so, but you know, it is what it is. I did what I did, and I did it out of the kindness of my heart, because I knew it was nobody else to do it for my mama. So I did it, and we got her back. And so after that, later that month, I started looking for a job. Henceforth, my old employer hired me back part-time. Okay, y'all, so we're back in Tennessee. Mama squared away. Now, back to my issues. So I get the job. I do my onboarding. I'm hired back part-time. And I start working, and I'm an early bird, y'all. I like to get up and finish. I like to get up early, finish my work, to have the rest of my day to do what I want to do. I started working 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. 4 days a week. I was working Monday through Thursday. And y'all, for the most part, it was heavenly. It was heavenly. Now, when I started back, you know, I had to get back in the groove of getting up and, you know, starting back to work every morning. And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I had just gotten used to being able to sleep in, you know, and I'm always an early riser, but my early rising is around, I say 6:30, 7, somewhere in there. I would wake up just naturally every morning, but I do need my alarm clock to wake me up to be up at 5 a.m. to start work. Okay, so I started back, and I started back in, I think, December 18th was my first day back part-time. Like I said, I told y'all I had to do 2 things when I ran out of money. I had to ask for help and find a job. And finding the job, I found my job and I asked for help. Now, as I said, they helped. And I had to swallow my pride, y'all, basically, because a lot had happened. A lot had happened, you know, and there was a lot to the situation, which I won't get into. But like I said, I asked, they helped, and I always will be very appreciative for that help, regardless of what went on or how things happened or how things went down. I started working. Now, another issue, y'all, that we were dealing with in the midst of everything else was our lease would be up August the 17th of 2024. Okay. Of course, y'all know I hadn't been working. I had just started back part-time. I'm making part-time wages, and I'm thinking, where the hell we gonna move to with the money I'm making? So I'm thinking, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to apply for some type of housing assistance. I'm just gonna have to, you know, at that point, y'all, I had, you know, I was just, like I said, I was just a skeleton, y'all. I was just all pride, all ego, gone. Like everything was just, you know, drained of me. And I was like, I have to do what I have to do to survive. I have to do what I have to do to keep a roof over my head and my daughter's head. So around, of course, January, you know, we know time flies, okay? We know time flies. And I know I needed to start looking for something then. So that's what I did. So I started looking for income-based housing because, of course, I had no income. Now, with that being said, I knew my lease would be coming up for renewal. I knew that before I quit my job, y'all. I knew that. And of course, I had a plan, okay? But that plan fell through. Therefore, I had to figure it out, okay? So, like I said, I'm not gonna talk about what my initial plans were. I'm not gonna bring that up. But just know, because that fell through, I had to find something else. And I had to find it quick. So of course, I'm looking, my county, all surrounding counties, you know, I'm doing what I gotta do to find a way so that my daughter and I will have a roof over our head, okay? So I'm doing all my research. And I find a couple places. I find some new bills that were income-based. And I inquire, but even the income-based, I couldn't afford it. My income wasn't enough. So therefore, I knew I had to have some supplemental income. I had to get another job. I either had to work more hours on my previous job, on my job that I had now, or get another job to supplement. And when I did ask at the time, I asked, I had been working a few months. I think this is around, probably January, February. I asked my supervisor if there was any way that I could increase my hours, And at that point, she was like, well, she couldn't increase my hours right then. For one, the work was slow. And for two, she was really scared I was gonna burn out again, y'all. And she didn't want to lose me. So she told me that things would pick up in a few months. And of course, I'd be the first one to get the full-time position back. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started looking for another job, and I found one. I found another job, typing. Not in the specialty that I type in, but in a different specialty. And I had to do training. It took a few weeks before I could get this job, because we were kind of back and forth. But finally, it came through. Everything worked. And everything worked out. I got the job. I started training. And if you guys want to see, I was recording then too. If you guys want to see how I went about through all that process, I was vlogging, and I'll have that video linked up here somewhere. So, and in the meantime, I'm still looking for a place to live. So I'm asking my friends, does anybody know of any place? And I asked my friend that lives here in Nashville, Luan, and she put me on to a few things. And I called. She actually put me on to where we live now. And I called. And when I first called y'all, let me get this straight. When I first called to see about this apartment, I didn't have my second job, okay? I'm getting things mixed up. But when I first called to see about this particular apartment, the apartment that I'm in right now, I didn't have enough income, okay? So after I got my second job, I called, and bingo, I had enough income to apply. So I applied. I went through a lot of back and forth with the application. It was a long process. I was coming back and forth signing paperwork. Mind you, our date to move out of the apartment that we were in was August the 17th. Now, all this started, I applied for this apartment in June, okay? In June of 2024, okay? So when I applied, and I didn't apply for this particular unit, the apartment that we wanted this apartment, but she told us then that they wouldn't have this particular unit, this particular floor plan available around our move out date, but they would have one that was a lot smaller. So of course, this was what we had wanted, but hey, I was like, you know what? I don't have a choice in this matter. I gotta take what I can get. At first, y'all, I was gonna wait to get this unit. And she said this unit would not be available till October 1st, which meant I would have to find somewhere to stay until October 1st, because I had to be out of my old apartment August 17th. Yeah, insanity. We knew that wasn't gonna work. So we just opted for the smaller apartment, the smaller floor plan, and that was that. So back to the process of even getting approved for the apartment was stressful. A lot of back and forth, a lot of signing this paperwork, signing that paperwork. But y'all, when I tell y'all, we found out that we had been approved like the week before we moved in, I think. And I was recording through all this. Like I said, if y'all want to see the process of that, I'll have the video linked. Y'all can go back and watch all of that process. She called us about a week before our move out date, and she was like, you guys, you need to come and finish signing all the paperwork. Y'all got the apartment. And y'all see my reaction. Y'all go to my video that I'm linking right here, and y'all see my reaction, okay? I was over the moon. Oh my God, we were so excited. Like, I was in tears for a minute because y'all, we had been through so much up and down, back and forth, up and down. But we got it. And yeah, we got it. And so we signed all the paperwork and scheduled our move-in date. And y'all, and also y'all, I want to tell y'all this. Before we knew we had got approved for the apartment, it was getting so close to our moving date. Like I told y'all, we didn't find out we had this apartment till a week before our move out date, okay? So y'all know I was stressed to the max. But y'all, I was making plan B and C. I was applying for this apartment over here and that apartment over here, and y'all know, I mean, all of it fell through. Like, one of the applications immediately said denied, and another one, they never got back to us. So I'm thinking, at that time, I'm thinking, oh Lord, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to go apply for HUD housing. I'm moving to projects. And you know, I was gonna do what I had to do, y'all. You know, I wasn't about to be on the street. So, yeah, all of that fell through, but because this was for us. This is what was for us, and God had it waiting for us. So all we had to do was just sit back and wait, because we had already been invited into it and it was ours. So fast forward, you know, we get the apartment, and we move in. And y'all, that day was that night, the day before when we were moving out, and the day we moved in, y'all, when I tell you, we went through so much, but it was so much joy at the same time. We were stressed out and so happy. Like, us driving to Nashville, to the hotel that we were gonna stay in before we actually moved in, it was like we drove through a storm. We drove through a literal storm. It was pouring down raining, thunder and lightning. It was really scary, y'all. And like I said, it was as if we were coming through the storm, figuratively and literally. We were coming through that storm that night, and we were going to end up on the other side. We came through the storm. God had us the whole time. He had us the whole time. And we came through that storm. He had us the whole time, y'all. Had us the whole time.
I'm so beautiful without you. Now my skin